Well, hey everybody, welcome to episode 26 of Totally Amazing Mushrooms. Hello, bonjour, hola, zdravstvuyte. Hey, the weather's warming up a little bit and our fungal friends are starting to poke their beautiful faces out of the forest floor. So come for a walk with us, see what we can see. Wow, birds are sure chatty today. That's awesome. Look at this beautiful little orangey, tiny little guy here. And we've got a little red stipe on it. And this guy has a rusty brown spore print. It's related to the Galerina marginata. This is quite possibly Galerina vitiformis, classified as inedible. One, because of their stature, they're tiny. Two, because they're related to the Galerina marginata. So just always be careful. But yeah, these guys are not worth harvesting anyways, even if they were edible. But they're not. But yeah, very cool. You'll find these guys scattered throughout the forest and whatnot. And they're just beautiful. Here's a bunch more little vitiformis. You can see that they got their dark little red stipes there. There's another one there. Oh, little tinies. Look at the size of these guys. But yeah, they're all through here coming up. Very cool. I just love these little tiny ones. So pretty. There. So pretty. Oh, so pretty. Well, on this old conifer here, looks like a Doug fir. It's dead. Very dead. All the way up, she's dead. And another way you can tell is by all these clown noses all over the trunk of it. Bring out the clowns. Yeah, these guys are awesome. And they're quite young. These guys are just starting to crack by the looks of things. And they're still quite soft. Look at that, like a bun. Quite beautiful. I'm going to set up my camera, so I want to show you a few things about these guys. They're all over. So these guys are almost kind of gastroid-ish, like the gastrums, the earth stars, or the lycoperdons, the puffballs, those kind of guys. These guys keep all of their sporulation inside this encapsulated little cap here. So we're just going to take a little cross-section off of this guy because I want to show you the insides of this. This. Okay, so see how hollow this is. This is amazing. So this is the bottom part of the surface. I have it flipped over. Okay, so I've zoomed in on this guy a bit, and you can kind of see where the pores are starting to form here. And they can sometimes elongate, or they can stay kind of almost like a fat clam sitting there. And on this underside is where all these spores are going to fall inside this area in here, and they're going to land on this layer here. And what's going to happen is quite often we're going to get, as this elongates and it thins out, sometimes they're going to get a little weak spot on this bottom part, and that is kind of almost like a doorway for beetles to get in, and they'll go in there and do their thing and eat whatever they want out of it, and they get covered in the spores, and then they're going to go and take off and go up the tree and drop off those spores to other places. And sometimes the bottom side will just rip a little bit, and these guys will harden up. Their carapace will get harder, and this will lighten as well, and they'll get kind of two tones to them. And you can kind of see that right here. This is the way he was. He's lighter under here and darker on top. And they're just wild. So yeah, no, they're not edible. They're kind of tough, but you wouldn't know it to look at these young guys. There's no toxins in them from what I understand. Originally, way back when, Charles Horton Peck, and I think it was 1875-ish, he threw them into the Polyporus genus and called them Polyporus valvatus. And then along came, what was his name? Cornelius Shear. And he put them into the Cryptoporus genus and called it Cryptoporus valvatus, and that's the name that stuck. And that was around the early 1900s there. Now, I just took a bit of a a bite out of this guy, and oi, is it bitter. Yo, it's really bitter. The outer surface is quite tough, but the inner is quite soft. But like I said, it's quite bitter. Like it's my tongue's still going, bleh, gross. But just amazing, amazing little creatures. They are all over this tree. This is our veiled conch. Yeah, just love these guys. So neat. Just now, we were talking about the Lycoperdons and the Gaestrums. They'll have a fully solid inner part here, and that's called a gleba. But not on these guys. It's hollow, as you can see. But yeah, so the when this either rips or they find a way in, they get in here, they get covered in spores, they take off, and they do their thing and spread their spores around. Ooh, we got some little, looks like Antilomas, probably Nolania halosiniota, I'm thinking. These guys are just really, really sweetie little mushrooms, and a pink spore print. A couple of them down there. No real smell to them. I can't notice any anyways, but yeah, and sometimes you'll find them just out in the open. Other times you'll find them kind of hiding just underneath things. These guys are just amazing. Yeah, originally, back in what, 72 I think it was, Harry Thiers put it in the Nolania genus, and in 2009 it got thrown into the Entoloma genus, Entoloma halosiniotum. Yeah, it's really cool. Love these guys. I hope I can find a Nolania verna, which is they've got much a darker cap to them, like almost black, and it's almost kind of satiny, like it has these little, almost kind of like mica, little shiny things in it. It's just really beautiful, especially in the sunshine. Yeah, they look very much like the deer mushroom, the Pluteus cervinus. But they live growing out of their wood, their alders, and they're quite a lot beefier than these guys. You can definitely smell them before you see them. But all through this area, on the other side of these alder trees, the Alnus rubra, is a bunch of our little lady ferns, which are delicious fiddleheads. So we're just waiting for those guys to come up, which will be another, well, hopefully within the next month. We've got some they're beautiful, they smell. So we got some beautiful western skunk cabbage here. This is Lysochiton americanus, and it's known as the western, this particular species is the western skunk cabbage, also known as the swamp lantern, and you can kind of see why. You know, the main stalk here looks like the mantle for your lantern, and this looks like your backing, the reflective surface, but yeah. Very cool looking. Now these guys are not good for us. They have calcium oxalates in them, which gives us kind of a spiky, nummy kind of feeling to our tongue and throat. And you can imagine that it would go down and do the same thing to your gastrointestinal. However, the leaves, when they get bigger, you can actually use them for, say, wrapping up a salmon and cooking it on the fire. And you can also use these as a bandage. So you can put your poultice in these leaves, and these leaves get much bigger, much bigger. They can get like a good foot long. And you can put your poultice in these and use this as an actual bandage to go around your wound or cut or whatever you have there. But awesome, yeah. So calcium oxalates, not good for us. Bears don't seem to care. They come out of hibernation and they're normally constipated because they haven't had a lot of fluids and stuff while they've been sleeping. And they have major tummy aches. So what they do is they come out and they eat the cores of these things and sometimes the rhizome roots. And it aids their digestion. But in humans, it'll give them diarrhea. But that's kind of what the bear is going for, I do believe. Yeah, wicked. All right, let's move on out of this swamp. She is not a water dog, but she came across it. I'm surprised. It's a good foot deep. Oh, you are soaked. Well, you get partially dried off on our walk back. All right, let's go. Ooh, I have a stinking hunch here that I'm going to be taking a bunch of these home for my air dryer. Yeah, these are the Trametes versicolor, the turkey tail, and they're just everywhere. And they got this beautiful little spore body here, these polypore spore body here. And these guys are tremendous for our health benefits. Not only anti-cancerous, but I mean they're anti-inflammatory, they've got antiviral, anti-oxidants, and they've just got so many good things for us. And they're very easy to dehydrate. Yeah, look at these beautiful concentric rings. Just amazing. And when they're in primo shape, when they're just starting to sporulate, you can feel that the bodies, they're stiff, but they're still soft. It's just, and they're perfect. Absolutely perfect. And you don't need a dehydrator. You can stick these on a saucer in your cupboard and it's nice and dry and dark. Totally fine. So, and this thing is just loaded with them. This is, wow. And they're just in primo shape too. So awesome. These guys are coming home with us. And if you want to hear more information about the Trametes versicolor, check out Totally Amazing Mushrooms, Long Live the Brackets. We go quite into depth about these guys on that video. That looks like we might have an Inocebi here. Now there are many Inocebis, and I'm not going to try and get it down below the genus level. Now this guy could be, I mean, he could be a Praecox, it could be one of the Melocebi genuses, it could be one of the Ionosperma genus, it could be the Pseudosperma genus, I am not sure. Okay, so one thing is we have a little bulb at the bottom of this guy, and he is very striated and slightly viscous, but you know, it has been raining, so that might be the case. And here go my glasses again. Okay, yeah, and if you look really closely, see how striated that stipe is there? And here's another thing, is this one's fairly young because you can see that the gills are still quite white. And these guys have kind of a tan, buffy kind of spore print. And we've got an older one here that's getting kind of flared up, as you can see. And this one I accidentally broke the bulb off the bottom of it, but pulling them up. But yeah, and these guys are toxic. And as far as I know, most of the Inocebis are toxic. They have muscarine in them, which is a baddie. It's a real baddie for us there. And the Inocebis come in so many different colors. Like this one's kind of a yellowy buff kind of color. They can come as like the Geophylas are white and lilac, and they can just come out in many different colors, and browns, lots of different browns. This guy still has a slight little bit of an umbo here on it, sticking up, just slightly. And you can see that the gills are attached. And these guys, another thing is, if you see how they peel up in like strings, like string cheese kind of stuff. And hence the reason why these guys are called fiber heads, fiber caps, and you'll see this guy will chunk right out. There we go, big chunk, big triangle chunk that comes out of it. But very neat. And definitely going to stay on the floor of the forest because I am not bringing him home. Oh, and that's another thing, is a lot of the Inocebis smell like, well, they say either green corn or they have a spermatic smell. This one does not smell. So I'm just not getting that spermatic smell off of this one. It just smells like forest and maybe a little bit of mushroom. Now, because of the fact that it doesn't actually have a scent to it, it makes me kind of want to lean towards the Mixtilis, the Inocebi Mixtilis, but again, I'm just going to leave this at the genus, and if you want to weigh in the comments as to what you might think it is, please do. I look forward to that. Nonetheless, we're moving on. Oh my goodness, wow, okay, right beside us. So cool. Look at this. We have a little Amanita pantherina, or Panthernoides, and this is one of these little guys here. And this guy will have a vulva, a little egg sac on the bottom, and I'll just get this guy up a bit and show you. Oh, there we go. So this is the egg sac or vulva, and this guy actually popped out of that, and it actually can look like a Lycoperdon, like a puffball. So these guys have the same compounds in them as the Amanita muscaria. You know, the Mario Kart mushroom, the red capped one, has these same scabers and whatnot on them. So it has the ibotenic acid and the muscimol, but in different ratios. The muscaria has high ibotenic acid and lower muscimol, whereas these guys have higher muscimol and lower ibotenic acid. Now the ibotenic acid gets converted in our bodies to muscimol. Muscimol is what gives you the euphoric feeling, and the ibotenic acid will give you the dysphoric feeling and agitation and discomfort and confusion, etc. Now the shaman of different cultures would use this to aid them in their spiritual journeys. So they would also use the muscaria as well. Now here's the thing, is that yes, we do break down the ibotenic acid into muscimol, but we don't always break it all down. And with these guys having lower amounts, you're going to have less of the dysphoria problems. You're going to have more euphoric feelings, because these guys are higher in the muscimol and lower in the ibotenic acid. Whereas the muscaria, you're going to, a lot of people that have had the muscaria poisoning come in and they're confused and they're agitated and they don't know what's going on, and they're, you know, they're almost like they're really, really drunk, but angry drunk. Yeah, crazy. But the Pantherina, you would probably have less chances of it. Now, I would not personally eat an Amanita, but if you were going to and you wanted to get the psychoactive effects, because they don't have psychedelic effects like the psilocybin ones, these guys have psychoactive effects. If you were trying to do that, you still have to go through that process where you boil them for 15 minutes, drain the water, boil them again for another 15 minutes, drain the water, boil them again for 10 minutes, drain the water, then fry them up. And I believe that's how you reduce the amount of the toxins that are in them, because I believe some of them are water soluble. But nonetheless, don't go snarfing on one of these guys, okay? Just err on the side of caution. It is definitely your wisest move. Well, we just mentioned the lady ferns. These guys here are the sword ferns, Polystichum monetum, and as you can see, they're little tiny little fiddleheads are trying to come up. Now, I was always told these are not edible, and that they have some toxins in them. However, watching Les Stroud, our amazing Survivor man, and Chef Rogalski, he did these up on one of their shows, and apparently they're delicious. So, pretty wild. These guys are so tiny. Try and get this guy up here. So these guys are little tiny mycenas, and we can tell by looking at their cap, and you can see that they have tiny little gills. Okay, now one of the things about these guys in particular I want to show you. So these ones can have, when they're very young, a nice light blue little margin. And no, it is not psilocybin. These guys, as you can see, have almost kind of a bluey kind of grayish kind of hairs on the base of their stipe there. And these guys also, believe it or not, have a gelatinous pellicle. So let's just take a look and try and get the pellicle off one of these guys. Yeah. You see that whole membrane there? It's not even let go yet. There, now there it goes. Okay, so that tells me that this very possibly is the Mycena amicta. And no, it doesn't have any properties of the psylli kind. But just a really neat that mushrooms that don't have psilocybin can turn blue. I mean, yes, there are many other species that are blue. There's actual blue Mycena, believe it or not. But these guys, having the gelatinous pellicle, can be kind of confusing. So yeah, it's really neat. You can get that. There you can see, look at that big long. Oh wow, that's really stretchy. But yeah, really cool. I wish I would have found a one that was actually still blue. And there are some other ones here. I'll just keep looking and maybe I'll get lucky. And they're kind of all through here. And these guys will grow in needle duff. They'll also grow in deciduous, which we've got arbutus here. So, you know, it's throwing down all these leaves and whatnot. But yeah, I just wish I could find a blue one, or at least a blue margined one. I'll keep looking. Well, this ant's nest looks like it's been attacked by probably, well, little dogs running by, but also woodpeckers. They come in and they snarf a lot of the ants. Because when it gets cold, the ants go way down deep inside their hill here. And then the woodpeckers know that they can get underneath and get closer to them rather than having to go through the top. Awesome. And of course, wouldn't you know it, the Clavulina coralloides, or cristata, is still going strong. This one's really firm. My goodness, that's awesome. Well, you're coming home with me because I found a few more. So that is just excellent, right on. I've got something to add to my dinner. And spring would not be complete with a beautiful bed of Collinsia torrei, Torrey's blue-eyed Marys. Yes, they're beautiful. Look at these beautiful blues and purples. Oh yeah. Now there is another species of Collinsia that is a little bit taller and a little bit paler. It's more on the purplish side, but these are just a brilliant blue. Just absolutely gorgeous. And of course, you know, the namesake and everything, so just fabulous. Well, this is a surprise to see this guy in the springtime. I don't normally see them in the spring, they're normally in the fall, but they can be both. This looks like, to me, this is the Stropharia ambigua, the questionable Stropharia. Yeah, these guys are beautiful. And they've got a very, very delicate ring zone there. And it's got this material on it, which comes off in your fingers. And quite often there's a lot of it. And sometimes they're just like a big puff ball. Looks like a big thing of cotton all the way down it, kind of. And again, it comes off in your fingers. And also the rain can wash it off. And you can see here on the edge of the margin here, he's got parts of his partial veil hanging down, left over. And he's going to have like a purpley, dark brown spore print. And, well, questionable on edibility. There's some people say there's toxins in them, some people say there's not. But there's been no documented case where somebody actually ate them. So that's pretty cool. There is one that kind of looks similar to this guy. That's Larateomyces percivalii. And he'll also have a kind of a ring zone. But it's kind of more like little fibers kind of sticking out, and they'll get kind of browny purpley from the actual spores falling on it. Also, his stipe, they can get start to get browner and whatnot coming up from the base too. So that's the Larateomyces, but and they can look very similar to the Stropharia, especially in the button stage. They have the same color. Now they look viscid, they're not. It's just beautiful. They're just a gorgeous looking mushroom, really got to say. And quite often the veil that's partial veil that's hanging down is quite often more pronounced. This one's been out for at least a few days, and we've had some rains, so but we might find something a little younger with a little bit more veil remnants on the edges perhaps. Here's one that has a whole lot more of the veil remnants hanging down. Kind of looks like a lampshade almost, eh? Just absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. And you can see this guy's lost his ring and all the prunos kind of material on it. Yeah, beautiful. You can see this, the gills are starting to darken because their spores are quite dark. Beautiful. Stropharia ambigua. Well, I am thoroughly impressed. These guys have gone ballistic. So these guys are very, very happy. We're at a stage where I'm going to stick them in the fridge. They can go in there for a good couple of months until you're ready to get them in their next substrate. All right, so that will be our next phase. I'm going to stick these guys in the fridge. And yeah, just doing amazing. Okay, these guys will go in the fridge right now. And believe it or not, this is the one that actually got the green mold in it. And it went nuts, even more so than the other ones. So, just wild, wild. So this one is going out into the forest because it was contaminated with mold. All right, so there's our update. Well, that's it for this episode, my friends. Thank you so very much for watching. And if you enjoyed what you saw, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe button. It helps me know if I'm on the right track. All right, everybody. Until next time, my friends, take care now.